If you follow this channel, you know that I've done a bunch of different videos covering Jace and his sort of ambient melodic sound. Now, Jace is definitely one of my favorite artists to work with just because those sort of ambient melodic beats have been the things that I've enjoyed making the most so far. Recently on his SoundCloud, he just released a couple singles and an EP called Before Curation 4. So in anticipation of Curation 4, I'm going to show you guys how I would make those sort of melodic ambient styles of beats. All right, so in typical fashion, I got a beat already made, and I'm just gonna kind of break down all the different layers and the drum sounds for you guys. So initially starting off, we're at 140 BPM. Typically when I make these sort of beats for Jace, I stick anywhere from like 135 to 145. He doesn't usually use too slow paced beats, so I kind of keep it in that mid-range tempo. So looking at this loop first, we got 7 different sounds that go into it. First one is in Serum. I'm using this pad artisan preset from my 2K Serum bank, and I just lay down this MIDI here. We're in F sharp minor. If you guys don't know how to work with scales, you can go over to this little arrow, click view, go down to scale highlighting, and then click F sharp, and then you can click minor or major or whatever scale you want to work in. In your piano roll, these lighter notes are going to be the notes that are in that scale, so just stick to those. I started with these basic chords and then just added some like top filler notes. Basically, we just have an F sharp, and then I added an A, C sharp, so I skipped one note in each scale to make the chord. And then what I did is I pitched this middle note up and then down one. And then I just got rid of the third note and kept the 7th. So this MIDI with this preset just sounds like this. For effects on that one, I just have an EQ to cut out most of the lows. Then next up, I took the chords from that MIDI and just copied them over to a different preset. And this preset is again in Serum. It's the Key Cloud preset from me and Kirsty's Bloom 2 sound kit. So for these first 2 sounds, I was really just trying to get that ambient layer down first of all. I usually do that in all my beats in this style. I just like to get the atmosphere built first and then kind of add the melodic top notes later. So this third thing I added was another Serum. It's called Synth Tori, and it's also from Bloom 2. And for this one, I just have these 4 notes that repeat. And it kind of acts as just like a little bit of a pad kind of top line layer. So that almost acts as kind of like a little vocal. Then I got this bass, and I just copied the root notes of the MIDI. And this is in a plugin called Triple Cheese, and it's called Smooth and Low Bass. The only thing on that I have is this Phase Mistress plugin. And this Smackety Fat preset, and that just kind of adds a little bit of movement to the bass. Then this next layer is just kind of another accent, and I'm using Cube and I'm using the Exhale preset, and it's just these 2 notes. On this sound, I just have the Shaperbox preset. It's called Me, and it's from Chrome and Kirsty's Vision sound kit. And then I also have a halftime, and then just like a reverb and an EQ to cut out some lows and highs. So that's what kind of gives it that weird like warping tone, is that shaper box preset. Then for the next sound, again, we have cube, and I'm using the preset air temple, and I just lay down these sort of accent notes. So pretty much all these layers are kind of just ambient accents that stack together and layer together to create a really cool atmosphere. And then what gives this kind of the melodic aspect is I found this guitar loop from Splice, and I put it into the mixer track and then just added a bunch of stuff to it to kind of thin it out and make it almost sound like it was like played in the back of a room or something like that. So we just have an EQ to cut out a lot of the lows. Then we have a reverb. We have a flanger to kind of like warp the sound a little bit around your headphones. A compressor and a limiter to like really, like I said, thin out the sound. And then another EQ to just kind of shape it a little bit more. So altogether, the loop is gonna sound like this. So this is a really cool sort of like nostalgic sounding loop almost, which I think fits the vibe of Curation pretty well. So I'm gonna take you guys over to a different FLP and we'll look at the drums. So for this beat, we only have 5 different drum sounds, and I really just kept it simple because I wanted to have a lot of space for Jace to rap on it. And I also added some effects to different drum sounds to kind of like fill it out more so it's not too empty. Before we get into the drums, I just wanna say that I just dropped my 3K drum kit, and all of the sounds in this beat besides the 808 are gonna be from that kit. So if you like what you hear in this beat, definitely go check that kit out. I will leave a link to it in the description below. But yeah, let's get back to it. So starting off the drums, we just got this simple clap pattern. Then I added a hi-hat, and before I play the hi-hat, we have a bunch of different effects on it. So I have a Fruity Delay 3 with these presets. You can look at those and copy them if you want. Then we have a looperator with just a subtle kind of like pitch down effect that happens at this time. And then I have a halftime with the mix turned way down and set to 2 bars. That just kind of gives a tiny bit of a little background atmosphere to the hi-hat, kind of lowers some of the notes. But for the pattern we have, it's sounding like this. So all those effects on the hi-hat really add a lot of movement to the drums without having to actually place a lot of complicated notes. Then the next up, we got this 22 snare. Now you might have heard on that snare that sort of like ghost delay that came in. We just have a fruity convolver on this snare. A lot of old Jace songs have this preset on a ton of the sounds, and even on his vocals he used to use it a lot. But basically, if you just add a stock fruity convolver and you right click on the wave file, go to tools and then hit reverse, that will add sort of that like reverb tail that is reversed, and it kind of plays into the sound. So you get that effect that they call like the ghost delay. Then we have just a simple open hat hitting on the 1 and the 5. Then for the final part, we have a 808 and a kick. We have this Wires 808, which is actually from a different kit that me and Gateway are working on at the moment. It'll be out probably in like a month or 2. But then we have the go-to kick from the 3K kit, and together they sound like this. You guys are definitely going to love this 808 when this kit drops. I've been using it on a bunch of different Jace beats, but it just has some nice like low end punch to it. So that's pretty much it for the entire beat. As far as arrangement goes, I didn't really do anything that crazy, just kind of took the loop, chopped it up how I wanted it to, and then really all the drums play throughout the whole thing. I just usually cut off some pieces here and there, kind of give some breaks to break it up so it's not like just hitting the entire time. But yeah, that's it. Let me know if you guys like this beat. Let me know if you think this would sound good on the Curation series. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out the 3K drum kit. I will leave a link to it in the description, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.